What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Eclectic Beer Gaming Reactions. This go around, we'll be taking a look at Fred Dibnah Laddering a Chimney, Part 1. So I got told you got to take a look at that if you think this was something on the last video. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, I plan on looking at a lot more of his stuff, whether it be on here or it be off air. He just, from everything that people have been telling me, he was the word I keep seeing is he was an eccentric, but it seems to me like he was a fellow that pretty pretty handy. That's just putting it lightly. Like it sounds like he pretty mechanically driven. So stuff, you know, steam engines and stuff like that he did in the coal mine. In his own yard. It just sounds like he was yeah, very industrious fellow. So we're going to take a look at Laddering a Chimney Part 1. We'll look at Laddering a Chimney Part 2. Either this video or possibly the second video of the day. So yeah, let's take a look.
Well, basically this is sort of a packing that keeps the ladder off the wall of the chimney, so there's room for your boots that go through, you know, on the rungs of the ladder. There's two schools of thought in this. One that, tying them on with string is time consuming and all that, which it is. But the thing is, when it's being pulled up the side of the chimney, by my mate here, and it bangs against something, it only busts the string, you know. Like the other school of thought is have a metal construction that's bolted to the ladder, which when that hits an iron band or something like that, it busts the bloody ladder, you see. String is cheaper than brand new ladders.
Okay, so I can't fault the logic there. Now, I do, looking at this, I'm just saying the Occupational Safety and Hazard Administration here in the U.S. would have an absolute cow. Like, it would be mooing and eating from the pasture, that kind of cow. I believe they would have one.
So, but it does take a bit of time for tie them all on. Yeah, that's the only problem. Right. It's going to be just underneath the third rung, so there's room for your boots. They've just got to be just underneath the third rung, so there's room for your boots there. If you tie it on there, it's amazing how it gets in way. It's in the wrong shop because there's no room for your feet. Yeah, basically that piece of wood is just to put there to hold the ladder off the wall. Here we are drilling the first hole in which there is an hole actually there that's just been pointed up.
He said drill. He's got a hammer and a chisel.
To knock in the first dog, which will be the holdfast at the base of the first ladder, as you might say. Then goes the plugwood, which, as you can see, it doesn't go in very far, but it's quite far enough, it's quite safe. And that's what's termed as a dog. Then I'm going to knock in now, knocking in now. And the next stage.
So now I'm watching this, and I see. So it's an anchor is what he's doing. That's an old time. That's the way they used to anchor stuff. So that makes sense in that context because he opened the hole, and apparently it's like he said it's from it's an old spot. It's just been covered up. He took and put the wood in there, and then he took and put it in, and then with that other piece is right there. That's basically it's anchoring again because it's done. Open the wood up so it doesn't have nowhere to go in between all those bricks. So whatever he takes and hammers in there is going to fit nicely, and it's not going to come out that easily. So, okay, so OSHA would still have a fit.
The piece of rope is called a lashing, and it's a piece of rope about 5 foot long with a loop spliced on one end, as you can see. The next stage is to prop up a ladder and climb up it as though you were going up to clean the bedroom window. And then about 5 feet from the top of that ladder, you drill another hole, but in our case the hole's already there. You drill another hole as plumb and straight above the one below as you can get it. And insert another piece of plugwood and another dog. As you get a bit higher up, the holes have a tendency to get a bit deeper. I think it's called fear.
He thinks he's got fear. Really?
Here you see the first ladder is in position, and I'm about to tie it onto the bottom dog, or the bottom holdfast, which you know, that's where the beer belly comes in handy. It's sort of round the hoop, round the side of the cheek of the ladder, under the rung, round the hoop, round the other cheek of the ladder, round the rung, and then back round the rung below.
Okay, so he's tying it. I'm just looking at the way he's doing this, and having worked construction before. Of course, we need to get high up in the air. We use a scissor lift, or we use the big old like JLG man lifts that way up there. But looking at the way he's actually doing the rope on a ladder, so he made sure he did number one. It's like clove hitches on both outside, and then he's doing a clove hitch right there on the actual ladder itself around the rung. So he's tied it to where it's not going to move. Like it's not going to move that easily. That's if you want to take and get a tight knot, you can do it pretty well with a clove hitch if you know clove hitch if you do it right. So that's all he's doing. He's using the ladder. He's just clove hitching the ladder basically to the wall.
And a clove hitch on, and that's got it fast. It will not come off. The thing to do also is use as much of the rope up as you can, because in a gale the ends start to blow about, and the whipping comes off the end of the rope, and then you've got one with like a cat o' nine tails end on it, you know, blowing about in the wind.
That's a pain in the butt.
That is the pulley wheel to pull up the next ladder.
And see, the only reason why it's moving right now is because it's got more top heavy on it than anything. So, but my thing is it's going to be interesting once it gets higher and higher with this crap, because
Here, the next operation is to tie the ladder to the top dog, or the top holdfast that you've just knocked in, without tying it to the haulage rope, you know, because sometimes if you're not paying attention, or you're trying to talk to somebody who's mithering you on the floor, you end up lapping it around. You see how easy it would be.
The way he just took and pulled, the way he pulled back and pulled at the same time. So when it was pulling back, he's taking and pulling it. So he's basically using his weight coming back, and with the pull on the rope to actually, it's his weight's taking and actually pulling that, and it's tightening it that way to that, as he said, the dog anchor, basically, like he said. That's actually pretty intelligent right there.
To lap it round the haulage rope. Yeah, that's it. That is now, the bottom ladder is now firmly fixed and as good as it'll ever be to the wall of the chimney. And the next operation is to climb up to the top of that ladder and sit to stride the top iron rung and reach up as far as you can and drill another hole in the brickwork, which of course it's very easy for me here, because having done this thing about 7 times before and used exactly the same holes every time.
7 times before? Something tells me like 7 million times before, with the ease that he's doing this with.
I know exactly how far I'm reaching and where I'm going, and it's quite an easy operation to keep the whole stack of ladders in a very straight line. If you're putting them up and you wander towards one side, when you're putting the staging up at the top and you've got one ladder that's maybe 2 foot gone a bit sideways, and say the other one's gone the other way, it looks rather an erratic effort at the top. You know, everything's out of line and out of square. Now we've drilled the hole approximately 5 feet above the top of the bottom ladder and hooked on the pulley wheel. Now this is where the tricky bit comes in. The second ladder is tied on approximately 9 rungs from the top, which is about midway. And of course, when it's being pulled up by the labourer or the man down below, we lose more or less half a ladder of a lap, which you'll see the reason for this shortly. The thing is, as that ladder comes up, or the second ladder comes up, on the bottom rung of it, there are 2 lashings, one of which I'm using now to tie the bottom rung to the nearest corresponding rung of the ladder that's stuck to the wall. I've got the other lashing round my neck.
And there's the dodgy bit. Oh, hell. Like, oh my God. That, and I get it. I get it. The man probably did it millions of times, but that's still. So you got the man down at the bottom that's whole, like, oh my God, dude, that's making me nervous just taking and thinking of how wobbly the top part is. I don't care what the man at the bottom. I don't care how tight he's holding anything. Like, until you can get up to where you got to be, especially now that it's doubled to actually tie that bad boy onto the next anchor. Oh my God. I don't know if I could do all that.
Neck, and the 2 steeplejack hooks which have come up with it are stuck in my belt. Now that's a secondary sort of safety precaution, the one with just a clovitch round the side, just in case that hook there that I've got my hand on, or the one that the pulley's on, if that happened to come out, I'd still be in with a chance. You know, the ladder would still be connected with 2 hooks to the bottom one. As you can see, it's slightly precarious there how it shakes about, but
slightly precarious. You think?
Once you've lashed it to that top hook, which is 5 foot above the bottom ladder, you've only got about 6 rungs above that are standing in free space, or what you might call unconnected to the chimney. It is now possible to unhook the pulley wheel and carry it up the back side of the ladder and hook it on the top iron rung, while you use one of the dogs that's stuck in your belt to, you know.
I'll say this, as scary as hell as this looks, it's efficient as hell as well. So I understand the reason why he's doing it. This is the method he's using, of course, is before they've got all the fancy stuff that you got nowadays on a construction site to take down structures such as this. Completely different time and era that this was being done in, or whenever, especially this started, and he started doing stuff like this. Completely different era. So I completely get that aspect of it. However, once you get past that top one, not happening, Captain. Just saying, not happening.
Get another purchase 5 foot higher up still, you see. Once you've drilled that hole and put the dog in, you can lift up the pulley wheel onto the dog, which of course one end of the rope is still attached to the ladder that you were sat on, and then you'll see in a minute where when I come down and untie that ladder, my man at the bottom pulls and up goes the whole 21 pins of the ladder onto the top of the bottom ladder, which sounds unbelievably complicated, but it is quite a simple operation, really.
Now I will say this: it appears to be, you can tell he's not in his 20s or 30s watching this. So he's been doing this for a hell hell of a long time. So this is second nature to him. So I'm looking at this and I'm cringing because I'm just like, I just, look, the riskiest thing I've ever done on a job site was working for my stepdad, me and my brother, working for my stepdad, runs an HVAC business. Well, we had to take and get an outside fan to the spot where we were on the outside of where we were going to take and put it on the outside of the building. Now, to do this, because I was smaller, I got nominated to we had a lull, and a lull is basically it's a larger, more beefy forklift for the most part. It's got the two prongs, but it extends out and it can lift way up and extend out, so you can get stuff into places like second, third, second stories and tops of houses and stuff like that with these machines, whether it's shingles, whether it's taking and putting in materials that's on a pallet or something like that. Well, we set the ductwork we were putting on the outside. We put it on a pallet. They got extenders for the two forks. Put a pallet on those extenders, and we put the ductwork on the first pallet. And I got on the second one that was on the extenders, and then had to be lifted up, and of course it lifts and it doot 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 doot. So I'm sitting there, and the only thing I've got to hold on to myself is this ductwork. You want to talk about butt puckering? And it gets worse because then he had to drive. So he only drove about 5 foot forward, and then he had to lift. And about 15 foot in the air. So I'm riding this thing about 15 foot in the air. Every time it stopped, it did this number. So I'm sitting there doing this. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm going to fall and die. So, yeah. And then it did this number and it did this number. And I thought I was going to cut myself in half on that ductwork. Because all I had to do, whoa, crap. So finally got set down. I got set down. I pulled that ductwork off. And I was like, find me a ladder. I'll climb down from this daggone thing. I don't care. That's about the riskiest thing I've done on a job site. This though, no sir. I don't care how often I understand it's a different time and era. So back then I'd have had to do something like that if that had been the type of work I get into. So I understand the reason why it's done. However, knowing what we have today, ain't no way on God's green earth.
In fact, it's so simple. You can do on a good chimney on a good day, where it isn't windy and you don't manage to thump the hell out your hand with the hammer. If you miss with the hammer, it's rather painful. There goes the pulley wheel. Down the ladder. Untie the lashing at the top that's holding the top of the ladder. Now it all comes loose and flops about in the wind. That's the dodgy bit when it's very windy and you're 3/4 of the way up and the wind's trying to snap the ladder off sideways. It's quite exciting. And there's the secondary lashing on the side, and then finally the one at the bottom. When you've released it at the bottom, it's at the mercy of the man on the floor and the wind. Sometimes it's rather awkward when it's very windy and the ladders start twisting round the rope, that's pulling the thing up.
Alright, so here we go, part 2.
Now it's now in the right position for fixing onto the sockets at the bottom, and of course you see how close to the top hoop it's being held against the wall by the man on the floor. Very important that the man on the floor is you've got his whole concentration all the time. That's why it's better using an older man than a younger man who has a tendency to wander off looking at ladies' skirts and things like that. Because if he disappears, you fall off. That's the setting ladder up, and that's what it's all about. Well, almost up. This method of laddering factory chimneys is quite a recent sort of invention, you know, like 1870s period. A bit before then, they actually flew kites to get string across the tops of chimneys, you know, right, weird situation. I think when they were, you know, the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, when they started to erect chimney stacks, nobody gave it a great deal of thought as to how they were going to get up there to repair the things. Because, of course, they were all built from the inside, more or less right from the beginning of building fairly large ones.
Kites? Great God. I can only imagine before they started laddering how risky repairing something like that was. Building it from the inside, too. I mean, it seems like you'd have. Oh, they may. I don't know. That's. Thank God for advancements. Then again, that was, an advancement back then. So.
To them building the really monstrous things that there are today at power stations. Like the early ones, you know, 1820s, were only like 60 and 50 feet high. And of course, you know, they could build them with a conventional scaffold round the outside because they were of no great girth, you know. To circumnavigate the wall of that chimney, which might be 60 odd feet circumference with scaffolding, is going to cost a heck of a lot of money, you know. That's why I think steeplejacks have still still earn a crust of bread, you know. It is one of the good and reliable ways of getting up there, you know.
Just with ease.
Basically, having got the second ladder up, you've more or less conquered it in a way, how you actually do the job. The thing is, you just keep repeating the process. 9 rungs from the top, 2 lashings on the bottom and 2 dogs, and up it comes. And all as you're up there with is your hammer, your chisel, the plug wood, and the end of the pulley wheel and the rope. The important thing not to do is let the rope run through the block and go tumbling down, which means that you've got to come down and get the end of the rope and carry the thing up, which 200 foot of hemp rope is fairly heavy, and by the time you've got back to the top with it, you're getting a bit out of breath. The other thing is, the higher up you get and the harder it gets, you know, because of course the guy at the bottom has got to pull the ladder up further and you've got to send the end of the rope down further.
Just looking at how tall this is, I don't know how tall this thing is, but seeing just how much higher that is from the second one that he's got up there. And all this before safety harnesses and safety lines, so they'd have done took. Nowadays, you do something like that, they'd have done run 3 or 4 anchors into the side of that thing, and they'd have took a run of safety line around there. You had to clip on about every 5 foot. So, and they'd have had it up underneath whatever ladder you're climbing. So you make sure once you get about 2 steps up, or actually, I've been on some job sites. The minute your 1 foot gets one rung up a ladder, you got to have something that you can clip onto. Even though if you fall, you got 10 foot of, leeway, or about 10 foot of leeway after it takes and goes completely taut on those safety lines on your back. You're going to fall and hit the ground. So you really, until you get about 25 foot up, you're still going to be dangling. Or you're not going to be dangling. You're just going to hit. It's going to hurt. At least if you take it about 20 foot up, you fall. You got about 7 foot, and then everything kind of comes out in that bag because of your weight. So your feet's still going to hit. You got a good chance for a broke leg or something like that. Once you get about 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 foot up, that's when it really comes into play that, oh crap, thank God I'm wearing this if you fall.
So the progression towards the top as you get higher it slows down a bit. This basically is a an inspection to give a quote for any forthcoming repairs that need sorting out. Over the years, the first job I ever did were above the collar, the 10 feet of brickwork above the collar. I put some new iron bands round and pointed it all, and a new lightning conductor on. Then on subsequent visits, I pointed all the panel work round the top 30 feet. And now from the sailing course below that to below the green and white banded area of tile bricks, it's badly in need of pointing, so I'm going to give them an estimate to do that. That's a bit of old-time steeplejack's plugwood, you know. Him who knocked that in there will be dead and gone, without a doubt. Quite rotten, you know. These patches I pointed up, they were some very poor quality steeplejacks damaged the brickwork, you know, didn't know how to work an hammer and chisel. It's always policy to leave the ladders there until...
It's funny how there are signs in every trade of bad workmanship, and that being one of them, damaging the brickwork.
You've come to the financial arrangement with the management about whether they're going to have it done or not, which saves you having to put the ladders up again. The thing is that having secured the contract, if we're going to do it, we've then got to put what's termed as a staging round the top.
Wait. Was this just for exhibition? Because I see a man lift right, and unless it's not going to get high enough, which that could be the case, even though those things like 200, 250 foot for some of them. Bruh, I'm just saying, like, I understand he's old school. Jesus Christ. Now you see a good, oh my God, oh, with the ladder, oh my God. And you got the man lift right there. And I can see that it's not even all the way extended out because you got that one little area that's like, you know, right over here. And if I can point well enough, it's like just right there. Just it still got another 10 foot that it can go. So if it's, oh my God, and he's doing a ladder thing. I hope to God this was for exhibition, because Jesus Christ, something tells me he's old. Him being old school, this was it's just the way he's used to doing it. So to heck with some of the new stuff, he's going to take and do it this way, because that's just, oh my God, what? Then again, I mean, I can kind of see the reason why he would, because even with those man lifts, you get enough sway on a windy day, you're not going to be able to take and work on any of those bricks. You might actually damage them, because depending on how close you get, you take and swing, and if you don't make sure you got a leeway for your swing, well, then you got to take and reach it. I don't know if I could do that job. I'm just saying. I can imagine having work, you know, trying to get a job and going to a site and looking up, and I'm going, all right, we're going all the way up there. Fuck you. Not happening. I'll find something else. I'll go sweep the floor somewhere. I promise. That's just, I don't do well with heights, and it's not, I'm not afraid of getting high up in the air. It's not a problem for me. Problem is the falling. I hate the sensation of falling. It's just the fact you go up that high and the thought of falling. No, sir.
You hear it how it's addled, holler, you know. It's a shame, really. getting near the top, it's always like that, you know.
It reaches all the way to the top. Why is he laddering? Oh, God.
I think this time a few iron bands might be called for, you know, to screw it together a bit.
Jesus Christ.
A bit of me pointing come out up there on them big copings. Can you see it? 6 inches off the lightning conductor. Not bad that though, it's a long time since I did it.
How'd you get up that? That's my... I'm not sure I actually want to know that. Feeling I'd have a heart attack just seeing. But I'm just gonna say this, like I hope this is, you know, I hope this is just showing you how you did stuff back in the day. But no, I have a feeling this is exactly still how he was doing doing any repairs like that. Because old school cats are old school and they do stuff the way they always did them. Because that's just how they find stuff to, you know, fit them sometimes. It's just how they did stuff. This is just, Jesus, he is so far up there with just ladders. How do you get above where it does this number? Like, how do you get on around that?
Some of them are loose. it's a trifle huddled around that area. I don't think the full 9-inch headers, they're only halves, you know. Well, an header is a brick on end, like that should be. But I don't think it is. They wouldn't sound as hollow if it were a full 9-inch brick going in.
It's been more solid.
It's only half of one, I think. I'm only surmising. These are my dog holes that support my scaffold when I'm, you know, when I'm putting the scaffolding up.
Jesus, that's too far down. Hell no. Ooh. I just chills all the way down the spine and the arms and everything, just seeing how far down that is. Just crap. Whew. That's all I can say. That's, oh my God, that is just too, on a ladder, just on a ladder. I can understand if you're up there in the man lift, or it's, you know, you're in the bucket, got to tie off. So if you fall, well, they got 15 minutes they can come, you know, bring you back down, so that way your blood circulation isn't cut off and you don't die. You fall off of that and you ain't got nothing tied in, you're dead. There's just, that's it, you're dead. There's no, I hope he's all right. There's none of that. None of that whatsoever. It's splat. Because there's a very, 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 very hard stop at the bottom. Jesus Christ, it's a long way to the bottom.
When you sat on top of there, like king of the castle, the view used to be quite interesting in this area. There were numerous collieries, the last of which disappeared a few months ago, and lots of mill chimneys, and I think you can see about 4 left now out of all of them.
That's a beautiful view.
Out of dozens and dozens. Not very far away, there's the parish church of Atherton, which has got a distinct list on it through the mining subsidence. Well, that's it now. We've nearly conquered it. The north face of the Eiger.
Bruh. Ooh. Them old school fella had balls of brass. That's all I'm going to like. They had, like, I say brass, that's dentable. That titanium gonads. That's exactly what they had. There's no way in the world I could see doing that today. I know back in the day that's how stuff had to get done because they had no other way to get stuff fixed if it's that high up. You had to come up with a system. Now I understand. My thing is like I understand the reason. I've had folks tell me you got to take a look at him laddering a chimney. It's cool to see the system that they come up with that was used. That's really cool to see. And the thing about it is, that you're not going to have to take and worry about the ladders once you get everything lashed on there because the way he's doing the clove hitches and stuff like that. It's not going to move a whole heck of a lot. The wind comes, it's not going to blow it. It's just you might get a little bit of back and forth like this, but it's going to be minimal. It's not going to be massive amount, if any at all, with the way he's taken and tightened those things. So that I completely get. It's the height, like how high that is. Like that's holy crap high. That's not no, but hell no high. Just like I said, they'd be like, all right, we're going to need you to go up. No, sir. No, sir. Not happening, Captain. Just, I'll find something else to do. Thank you. Then again, you only got certain jobs you can get due to what's available in your area. So I'm sure it's probably either that or go hungry. So nobody likes going hungry. So yeah, I say that, but you do what you got to do. You suck it up, or you do what you have to do to take and provide for yourself or your family, or it's just, oh my God, though, Jesus. I wonder how long it takes to get used to something like that. And people go, oh, they're probably not, no fear in the guy. I can guarantee you, he's all the way up there, and I don't care how old he was. I can guarantee you he was scared to death once he was up there. And they're not scared like, oh shit, I'm not that kind of scared. He had that healthy fear of he knows what will happen if he misses a rung by accident, doesn't make sure he's properly, handling something. He knows exactly what's going to happen. He's got that proper fear, which makes you more safety minded, as opposed to all this safety first and blah 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 that they take and do at every company these days. Safety is important. It's what gets you home, but trying to beat somebody over the head with safety isn't going to take and prove your point. Them having a healthy fear of what could go wrong if they aren't paying attention is how safety is learned by someone and is respected. And now you have stuff that just, you're still going to have stuff that goes wrong, human nature, human interventions, but the minimal impact of it, or how to minimize the way that it happens. And I think that's one way that, with all the modern advancements that we have as far as safety components, they go overboard. So people get too lax. Guarantee he never got lax while he was doing that on the job. Never. So there we have it. Fred Dibnah Laddering a Chimney, parts 1 and 2. Ooh, just seeing how high up them. Nope. Put me on the man lift. I'll all the way around that thing. I don't care. Wind can blow. Make sure I'm back far enough where I can still reach and I ain't going to damage nothing. Tied off. Happy. Y'all be good to each other. Love yourselves. Peace.